So after we flattened the air bases in Pakistan, India now has ripped into China and its entire theatrics, the dirty game of changing names. Now clearly that is nothing new, but let me first up tell you what has happened and what is the sequence of event. Now May the 7th is where India launches that full strike against Pakistan after you've seen the Pahalgam attack that had killed 26 of innocent people. And clearly that was an escalation, a provocation that came in from Pakistan, and you saw the response coming in from New Delhi. Now, China, Pakistan, India. If you just look at these three countries, Pakistan is a good all-weather friend of China. So clearly there wasn't a surprise. So May the 7th is when we launched this strike, and May the 11th is just a day after the ceasefire is announced between India and Pakistan, is that China abruptly again announces that they are putting out new names to multiple places in Arunachal. Now, Arunachal again, China believes is a disputed territory, but India for the longest time has maintained that Arunachal was, is, and forever will be a part of India, period. Much like you've heard Narendra Modi saying that when it comes to Pakistan, our conversation will only be limited to terror and to POK. Forget Kashmir, because Kashmir is not on the table. But clearly, if you look at the timing of this provocation, if you look at the entire nuance, if you look at the motives and the manner, you will try to decode what possibly is behind China's move. The MEA today, that is the Ministry of External Affairs, has put out a strongly worded statement. What do they say? They say creative naming will not alter the undeniable reality that Arunachal Pradesh was, is, and will always be an integral and an inalienable part of India. They also use two more adjectives, vain and preposterous. These are attempts by China, they say, that China has been using in their playbook for the longest time. Now, if you go back to history, because history is a clear reflector of why certain individuals, certain countries, their leaders, they respond in particular manner. So let's go back into history. China has this history of this cartographic aggression. What is cartographic aggression? Because this is a new term. So let me tell you more about this. This is when you try to use this different maps to be able to assert your authority, assert your aggression. And China has been wanting to do this for some time around. Started in 2017. There have been at least, there have been at least 5 such attempts. In 2017, for the very first time, is when China put out these lists that involved about 6 places. So they gave Mandarin names to the Indian places in Arunachal, trying to assert that these are our territories, this is our place, and hence these names. It didn't just stop there. In 2021, this goes on to 15. In 2023, 11 such names were released by Beijing. In 2024, about 30, and in 2025, right now, is 27. Now, all this is coming because just a day after you had that ceasefire officially being announced by India, when Pak reached out to India for a ceasefire, will raise a lot of questions. Earlier, we've seen these green shoots of recovery when it came to the relationship between India and China after Narendra Modi, remember, had met Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the Kazan summit. But how has China responded? China was, I think, one of the last countries to even speak or criticize what happened in Pahalgam. Leave aside calling out Pakistan, leave aside telling Pakistan that something like this cannot be the new normal. They did not do that. In fact, I was reading about this, that China has essentially been supportive of Pakistan for the longest time. We shouldn't be surprised. When India, and hear this carefully, when India strikes Pakistan after Pakistan goes in for that dastardly, cowardly attack against our tourist in Pahalgam, do you know what is the word that China used? Quote unquote, regret. China expressed regret. That is the kind of bonhomie, that is the kind of nexus that you have between Pakistan and China, something that India has been well aware of for the longest time. Now, there are multiple questions, remember, that will be raised, and I will leave these questions as we reach the end of this video for you to think. Is this an attempt to provoke? Look at the timing. Is the timing suspicious right now? When you're looking at a very fragile ceasefire with Pakistan, you're looking at Pakistan clearly not wanting to mend its ways. The Prime Minister saying we'll go to any lengths this time to annihilate Pak in case Pak continues to neighbor and foster terror. Is China more dangerous than India? Than Pakistan, pardon me, because this is again something that people will ask, that when it comes to Pakistan, Pakistan gets all its might from a lot of these allies, whether this is a Turkey, whether it is China, and somewhere, what about the role of the US? Has the US been underestimating China? Because US is also self-centered. And that is why is it wrong when India draws its own red line? When India says enough is enough and we do not need anyone else to speak for us. We do not need anyone else to defend us. Because there has been a lot of conversation about how that IMF loan actually came in for Pakistan. If the US wanted, that loan could have been blocked. But did the US do it? Absolutely not. So is US really concerned about India right now, or is it more concerned about, putting out its own trade deals, about its own people and about its own politics? Not very long ago, there has been this conversation of this two-front war. So is this really a challenge? Is this really a reality? Are we really living in times where a two-front war, when you're dealing with neighbors like Pakistan and China, that India needs to be prepared of? The timing, very, very critical, but much like in Pakistan, and we flattened their terror bases, is it time? Is it time to also respond to these theatrics, these cheap tactics, and this aggression by China? We'll see how the story develops from here on, and NDTV, stay tuned.